Good morning. Hopefully everybody's had a great week. Looking forward to a big weekend. This Friday we're going to do something a little different. We're going to be off the DBQs for a second. I'm sure a lot of you are probably thankful for that. This is a little bit of a preview of kind of what you're going to see next Friday. So this is more of a fact-finding tour. First things first, May 15th, so a week from today, is your AP test at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. So make sure you note that time. May 15th at 2 o'clock. You might want to start making preps with family to say, hey, leave me alone for an hour here. I gotta, if you have brothers and sisters, kind of make sure they're doing their schoolwork before or after you, so you can have that time that they're not gonna messing with your internet connection, that sort of thing. A couple things. 2 days prior, you are going to get an email from AP. Whether you gave them your home or your school email, it's going to come to whatever you gave them. They're going to send you what's called an exam e-ticket. On it's going to have an 8-character AP ID code that you're going to have. So when you sit down for the exam, you need to have that 8-character AP ID. You're going to have to log it into your... You're going to have to use it to log in. It's going to get you to the site. You're going to have to put it on your response, whether that's a handwritten response or you choose to type it. You're going to put it on that document. They are really adamant about you checking in 30 minutes before the exam. Okay, so here is why. I know a lot of people probably are like, I'm not going to sit around for 30 minutes waiting for them. And I'm not saying there's not going to be any time that you're going to sit around and be like, I'm waiting for it to start. There might be. But you do have to fill out some things like your name and school and, that 8-character code and some other things. And remember, you're not the only one trying to get into the site, so there could be a log jam of everybody getting in. So they say 30 minutes before the exam, make sure you check in and you get yourself ready to go. Time is sensitive. If you, for some reason, are like, I'm going to do it right before the exam, there could arise a scenario where you're putting in your name and address and school and all this other stuff, and the exam has started and the clock is already going, and you're filling in like, what's my social security number, Mom? I don't think you're gonna have to know your social security number, but if you do, you got 30 minutes to look it up, or whatever the information they want from you. Again, you're gonna have plenty of time to do it in 30 minutes, but if you log in a minute before the exam, you're gonna be wasting exam time filling in that pre-stuff. Make sure you have a good space, a quiet space, so that way when those documents pop up, you can read them and people aren't yelling in your ear. You got brothers and sisters licking your face, or your dog, begging for food or something. Make sure you have kind of a quiet space. People leave you alone for that hour. You just need an hour. When the exam starts, we have one question to answer. So basically, you are going to get 50 minutes, 5-0. And the reason I put 45 minutes here is 45 minutes of those are to actually do the exam, to read the stuff, to type out the written response. So you're going to have 45 minutes to read the documents, come up with your thesis, plan out what you want to write, and actually write it on the page. As you're doing that, there's going to be a clock that's going to be ticking down. It's going to say, start at 50 and 49, blah, blah, blah. Go. It's going to click down. When it hits 5 minutes, it's going to turn red. And I don't think there's going to be any kind of buzzer, so you're going to have to be aware. I know they advocate for trying to have the browser open with the clock and then you're working in your document so you can kind of see the time. You're going to have 5 minutes to submit your work. Now, when it goes red and goes to that submit, that doesn't mean you have to stop typing, but just know that once it hits 0, you can no longer submit it. So you can't be like, just one more minute. If you are like, hey, I just want to type one more, finish one sentence, that's okay, but don't make one sentence 3 paragraphs. All of a sudden, it's like, I got 12 seconds to get this submitted, and because if you don't submit anything, then you get 0 points. They can't score what's not there. They can give you partial points, partial credit, and again, after you wrote for 30 minutes, my guess is you have a lot of it done, so you're going to get probably more than just partial credit. Mr. DeGrace loves to tell the story of the kid that took the AP Stats exam that didn't answer the whole... This is the full test when there's multiple questions, multiple free response questions. It took so much time that they didn't answer the very last free response question, and the kid still got a 5. So you can miss some things and still do very, very well. So when you're trying to finish stuff up, be very cognizant of I'd rather have you get it in than actually take all that time to, you know, to finish up. Now that doesn't mean like you can't finish up a thought. That's okay, but just be aware that don't let 20 seconds turn into 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and then you're out of luck. All right, that was kind of a ramble. Sorry. The work must be your own. So it is okay to use notes. It is okay to use. You can get online. I think they're a little wary of you getting online for fear of people cutting and pasting things, for fear of people taking too much time. You can utilize your book. That's okay. I think I put some review stuff on there. You can utilize that. Just be sure when you do that, make sure it is your own work. Don't cut and paste it. Don't copy it word for word. Make sure you are putting it in your own words. Okay, that is a big deal for them, as it's a big deal for all of us. Okay, so make sure you do that. All right, so for today, what I'm going to have you do is I'd like you to look through some of the stuff to make sure you know what you need come exam day. So I have linked in Schoology in the weekly folder. Whoa, there we go. We're outside the lines here. I've linked this website. It's going to take you right here. Basically, it's going to tell you a lot of the information you need to know. There is a video tour. I think it is extremely helpful. It's like a 4 or 5 minute, I think it's a 5-minute video, maybe shy of 5 minutes, that does a really good job of walking you through what it looks like, what the options you have of actually like submitting your answers, how you're going to do that. That's a really, really helpful video. I watched it. It's a really good thing to look at. I highly encourage you. There's an interactive exam demo. I've already linked that and made it something we were supposed to have done. So if you haven't done it, it's not a horrible thing. It actually lets you kind of get on the site like you were going to take it, like you were going to take the test. Obviously, it doesn't make you take the test, but it kind of walks you through a little bit of what it feels like. There is an exam checklist, and I absolutely highly recommend you getting in here and reading this. It tells you all the things that you need to know, and there's some things that are very, very obvious, and there are some things that I never thought of. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably check that. For example, like the browser you have, like that you use. Make sure that you utilize Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Edge. They highly recommend Chrome. If you have Internet Explorer, they do not support that. So that will probably give you a lot of problems if you utilize that. So make sure you're using one of these browsers, particularly Chrome, and I think that's on the Chromebook, so that's what I recommend. The other thing that tells you, and this is a good idea, we have one question that we are going to answer. Before that clock starts, you will want to open up a document. Now, again, you're going to watch that video, and it's going to tell you all the ways you can submit an answer. If you want to write it out, you can write it on paper. If you want to type it, and I think everybody's probably going to want to type it, that would be my guess. That's what I would do. You want to make sure you set up a Google Doc. Once it gets, or a Word doc, whatever you're going to use. Once it starts that clock, then all of a sudden if you're like, oh, I got to open the Google Doc up, that clock is running already. So you want to have your Google Doc already open, set up, and ready to go. So it means the font that you like, the size that you want, whatever. At the very top, you have to have your 8-character APID and your initials at the top of your document. Okay, so make sure you're doing that. That's a kind of a big thing. So you want to make sure those things are going. During the exam, they're going to tell you certain things, like you do not want to refresh your browser. You don't want to use the back arrow. That could kick you off the site. And you can get back on. It's just, again, it's going to take time. It's going to waste time. So you don't necessarily want to do that. So make sure you kind of know what's going on, what's happening. So make sure to review this site. It's a really good resource. That's the first thing I want you to do for the day. Second thing I want you to do for the day is I put in the folder a little quiz to kind of make sure that you have reviewed that site. It's going to ask you a couple questions that you should hopefully know. Things like, hey, when is our test? Like, what do I need? Like, well, how long before I need to log in? That sort of thing. So it's going to ask you a couple, not a ton of questions. I think it's like 5. But you are going to go ahead and do that. And there is a grade associated with it, so make sure you do it. That's for sure. Next week, we're going to go ahead and it's a lot of reviewing. So make sure you're kind of ready to go. this weekend, it's not a horrible idea to start reviewing, like looking at Crash Course history videos or Khan Academy videos, or if you want me to make a review video for you, I absolutely will. I'm still working on one for World War II for Kylie, and everybody can utilize that. It's not just for her, but everybody can utilize that. So if you have any requests, please let me know. This next week, I'm going to try to be as accessible as possible and really up my game as far as working with you guys. If you want to go over some of your DBQs, again, I think those are great. I've had some conferences with a couple of you, and I think they've gone pretty well, and I think they're somewhat helpful. I think it's easier to kind of talk face-to-face with somebody or computer-to-computer than it is to email back and forth like, nice jobs, these suggestions. So I highly recommend those. Even if you can't make office hours, like I will set up a outside time. I've done that for a couple people, and I'm more than happy to do that. Like, where am I going to go? Like, I'm stuck here. So let's talk about DBQs. I'm all right with that. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me to, swear at me behind my back, whatever. I don't know. Like, make sure to contact me if you have questions. If not, I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.